Hi everyone, welcome to Inloco MetaTalks. I'm Elsa, Inloco Sharky and curator at Inloco Gallery, and I'll be your host today. I'll tell a little about Inloco MetaTalks firstly. So, what is it? This is our series where we bring together artists, curators, technologists, all kinds of creative minds to explore the future of art and culture in the metaverse and beyond. Every session is like stepping into a new world, discovering fresh ideas and making connections you didn't expect. And today is really special. We are joined by Lisbet, an immersive experience designer, creating interactive learning journeys and unforgettable digital events. And most of you know Lisbet, and at least once visited her events and her space, My African Dream. By the way, on the left, you'll see the bubbles, the portals, and uh, you can, after event, you can visit them. There are the links to X account, LinkedIn, and two spaces in Spatial by Lisbeth. So, a little bit more about Lisbeth. After 15 years as a speech language pathologist working in education, inclusion, and human rights, Lisbeth stepped into the digital realm. Here she builds experiences that simply cannot be replicated in the physical world, but harness the unique power of the virtual. Whether it's designing immersive educational paths or crafting entertainment events that spark curiosity and foster connection, Lisbeth shows us how digital spaces can be both impactful and inspiring. So I couldn't be happier to welcome Lisbeth to Inloco MetaTalks. Lisbeth, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Elsa. Hi, everyone. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you very much to Inloco for the invitation to speak here today. I feel very honored. And then also a big thank you to everyone who's here to listen and hopefully experience what I have to say today. So, I hope that you'll derive some sort of benefit or enjoyment from today's event. And what's important to me is that at any point, please stop me and feel free to ask questions or to make comments. I would much rather that it's interactive than we wait until the end for questions. So feel free to stop me at any time. I'm going to be dropping the Japanese translation, the full script into the text, and then the English text you will see on the screen at all times. So I'm juggling a few screens. Okay. So you'll have my key points on the slides in English because I feel that some people do still need some kind of visual representation to improve their understanding because of auditory perception. So if you look at the image on the right, auditory perception is how the brain makes sense of what the ears hear. So the sound comes in at the ear, and then the brain makes sense of it and deciphers it into language. So people that have difficulties with auditory processing will need some kind of visual on the screen as well. And then, as I said, the Japanese translations will be in the text. So if I pause a little bit after each slide, it's because I'm opening up my other document. I'm determined to do it all myself. So I'll be opening up the other document just to drop in the Japanese translations. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So before I start, I just want to do a bit of an introduction on who I am. Okay, so I'm Lisbet, and it's my nickname in the digital space. It comes from a shortened version of my second name, which is Elizabeth. And I'm from South Africa. I'm proudly South African. I have a background of 15 years as a speech language pathologist, which is someone who works with communication pathology, anything that causes a difficulty or breakdown in communication. So I had my own practice. I ran a nonprofit organization. I worked in human rights. And I also worked in the areas of education and inclusion. So also I have a master's in alternative and augmentative communication, and that's any form of communication other than speech. So if everyone that's on their PC, please press Y for thumbs up or for yes. Okay, great. So that is an example of alternative communication. You're showing thumbs up with sign language with your avatars. That's an example of AAC. If there aren't enough seats, you're welcome to press 7 and sit anywhere on the carpets or stand around. It doesn't bother me wherever you are. Okay, so then the next thing I'd like you to do is to type Inloco into the chat. Okay, so all of you that have typed Inloco, that's another form of AAC, augmentative or alternative communication, because you're using text to convey a word which has meaning of Inloco galleries. So that's what I have my master's in, alternative and augmentative communication. Okay, so I worked specifically in this area with non-speaking autistics, and I also developed training materials, teach others on how to work with non-speaking autistic people. So I traveled around the country. I went to set up schools, education for people who learn differently. So inclusion and human rights is really important to me. And then I am neurodiversity affirming. So not just in my career, but actually also in life in general. I don't believe in forcing square pegs into round holes or fitting people into boxes, but rather that we all come as differently shaped pegs with different brain types and different ways of perceiving the world. And so I aim to embrace differences and accept them. I don't want to compensate for them and try to get everybody to be the same, because first of all, that's not acceptance. And how boring would our world be if we were all the perfect normal? And I say this with sarcastic inverted commas. You can imagine at the moment in front of my PC, I'm doing those inverted commas when I say perfect normal, because I don't believe in normal. It's a textbook concept, juggling between the present of you. Right, so what do I do in the digital space? I have 4 main areas that I focus on. And the first is my African Dream. And it also has a sister space called my African Dream Events. I'll discuss more of this later. But currently it's in spatial.io, which is where we are today. And I'm also hoping to expand it to other platforms soon. So just by perhaps a digital show of hands, you can click thumbs up again of who has visited my African Dream. Okay. Okay, I'm also an asset creator and a community builder and a digital event organizer and host. Okay, so I'm a digital asset creator. I believe that auras, attachments, and avatars and animations are a way of self-expression. So depending on your taste, depending on the occasion, you can select or wear something that matches your mood and that matches your style. And Lucy taught me how to create digital assets, and I'm extremely grateful for this. So I'm now going to give you an opportunity to try on first some auras. You can walk up to them and interact with them, and it will give you the opportunity to try on various ones. At any point, if you want to remove them, feel free to wear them the entire time. If you want to remove them, I have placed dustbins or trash cans here in the front and at the back. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that while I also drop things in the chat. Okay, so while we do this, I'm going to play a song called The Age of the Aura, which is by Murderface. And he wrote this specifically for, it's AI music, but he wrote the lyrics specifically for auras in spatial. Okay, and I will also drop some avatars that you can try on while we listen. Okay, so these are different avatars. We've got my African Easter Bunny. We've got Zaza, the African baobab sprout, who represents new life. And then we've got Murphy McCharm and Hearty. So again, you can walk up to it and click and change your avatars. So you can try them on. And again, there's our trash cans to reset, or you can actually press 9 as well to reset your avatar. But because I have my ball in the space as well. So it's better you walk up to the trash cans and click on the F to reset. I want you to start thinking about if you have any favorites and why.
This is the age of the aura. This is the age of the aura. When life seems a bore, just go into the store. For some wings or flora, just choose your favorite aura. You can be on top with a trip to the shop. You can hold a magic wand or the fire of gods in your palm. There's no limit to what you can show. You can fly or be a tornado. You can rule with the hand of Zeus or get abducted by aliens. If you choose your aura, there's no limit to what you can show. You can fly or be a tornado. Aura, rule with the hand of Zeus or get abducted by aliens. Choose your aura.
Okay, so let me go back to sharing my screen of the talk. So I want to know, do you have any favorites and why? So feel free to unmute. Or you can type in the chat if you wish to. Anything is fine, I'll read it out. So did you have any favorite auras, any favorite avatars of those that we tried, and what is your reason for that?
I'm loving the gaudy wings.
Nice. I know that you're a Gaudi fan.
Correct.
An amazing
wings.
architect.
Yeah, wings are always amazing. I mean, they just make you feel like you can do something that you can't do in like real life. Like,
Yes. And that's actually something that I bring up later, is to create experiences that people can live out of things that they can't do in the physical world. And that harnesses the power of the digital space. So I like that comment also. Dave is saying,
I also like
okay,
this hearty avatar because it's just cute.
that was for Valentine's Day. Meta Coach is saying, I love the wings. Sarah Jan, wings make me feel holy. Dave, yes, on the wings. anything that represents stained glass is for me. I'm glad you were able to pick up that it's stained glass, because that's what it was meant to represent. And then Sarissa saying, Hearty is adorable. Eva, love the wings. We can fly in this world. Thorim loves Murphy. He must drink some Guinness. Would you like him to drink some Guinness? Let me give you some Guinness for Murphy. Your wish is my command, Thorim. I will give you some Guinness to drink for Murphy. And Rio is saying, I love the wings. Stilo Me 3, Kumiko, the wings are amazing. Rafaela, I adore the wings. Okay, so the wings were a big favorite. And one of the reasons being that you can do things here that you can't do in the physical world. And then also, as I said before, I'm a community builder. And I think that I use my experience in inclusion to build communities. It's important to me that people feel welcome, that everyone is included in the discussion, which is why I'll rather slow down my talk a little bit to drop all the information in the chat so that everyone can understand. There's other ways of doing it as well. People can use Google Lens. I could do an entire talk on inclusion, but that is not my topic for today, so I will stick to my topic. So now we're going to move on to today's topic. Don't just watch, experience. Okay, so events without interaction, in my opinion, are extremely boring. Events where we just sit and watch a screen are also, in my experience, very boring. So I feel that interactivity is important to prevent this type of boredom. And speaking of boredom, I don't want everyone falling asleep during my talk. So I'm trying to have a lot of interactivity so that you can actually experience this concept or all the concepts that I talk about. So thank you to 7+ for the synced ball. Dave is laughing. Okay, and then, so if you're not already a member of a platform, I believe that you'd need motivation to join. We need to create experiences that are unique. Otherwise, we're just representing the physical world model of education. We're sitting and staring at a screen, or we're sitting and staring at a board. And this, first of all, the physical world model of education is already not optimal for how children or adults learn. And there's a huge amount of research that shows that children learn best through experience and play. But did you know that adults, they've shown it is as important to adults? And this they've been finding from some time already. Lucardi did this study in 2014, and it showed that fun and enjoyment and play could prove to be as beneficial and important to adult learning as it's seen to be for children's learning. So that's one of the things I love about these platforms, is that as adults we get to express our inner child, which I believe we should never use, and we get to have fun and play. So yes, we don't want to replicate the physical world model of education, and we want to learn and experience through play, which we are going to be doing today. So why would anyone bother creating an account for a metaverse platform if you're just going to sit and listen or sit and look at a screen? For me, then it would be much easier to just listen to an X Space or to tune into a YouTube live stream. What is the purpose of people coming here? How do we make it worthwhile? And how do we create these experiences that will make people want to come? That is the question. What would be the reason for a person to tune in to what I'm saying and to be present than to just go onto another tab and work? And I do it too, because it's the same as listening to an X space. If I'm in a space where it's just somebody talking and there are no interactive elements, there is no purpose of me having the screen open. So what do? We need to make it more exciting than an X space or a live stream. We need to harness the power, the unique power of the digital realm. And what do I mean by that? So first of all, nowhere else would we be able to, at with minimum prep, drop in something like fireworks, for example, into a space whilst doing a talk with minimum damage to the environment afterwards. That is one of the unique powers of the digital realm. To improve our experiences, we're not damaging the environment afterwards, there's no pollution afterwards, and we're creating excitement, environmentally friendly. We can create reusable assets. So speaking of environment, I know that balloons are plastic and pollute the earth, but I absolutely love balloons. In so many cultures, balloons represent celebration, they represent birthdays, and digital balloons don't leave behind plastic that pollutes the earth. They don't waste finances, you don't spend money on a once-off occurrence, and they really enhance the celebration of an experience, that whole celebratory vibe. We can take people to places where they could never get to go in the physical world and experience things that they wouldn't be able to otherwise. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about participation and attendance. A lot of research has been done on participation. I actually did my master's study on participation as well, and it was on subjective participation in activities by people with disabilities. And they said that when they feel like they're participating, it leads to an improved quality of life. Numerous studies have led to the same results. They show that participation has numerous mental, physical, and health benefits. And more importantly, it's linked to self-rated health and well-being. So there's various links, data 2020, Peterson 2021. All of this shows that participation in an event is extremely important for people to derive benefit from it. So when I say participation, I do not mean attendance. So there's a significant difference between event attendance and event participation. So often I'll hear that people will say, 35, we're 35 people now, 35 people participated in the event that Lisbet presented at Inloco. But my question is, did they really participate? Did they actively take part? Or did they just attend? And this is an important question to ask, because for me, if I do something, attendance is not sufficient. I want participation, because if you have participation, the person will learn whatever you're trying to teach. They'll enjoy if it's an entertainment event, they'll connect with the brand if it's a branded event. So we want to encourage participation and not just attendance. So let's look at attendance versus participation. Attendance is the act of being at an event or going to a place, whereas participation is the act of taking part in an activity. So we're going to do an activity together, and I will place different images in the space, 2 at a time, and I will ask you to walk to the image that you feel represents, so walk with your avatar, move with your avatar to the image that you feel represents participation versus attendance. And I'm going to put one on this side over here at a time. Oops, now I'm drinking Guinness too. And then I'm going to put one on the other side. So I'm going to upload those, and you can take some time to look at both of them, and then moving your avatars towards the ones that you feel represent participation, not attendance. And I will be contrasting the various ones. Another image to contrast that. Mitsuaki is saying, I often see spaces that are filled with people and that numbers might not have meaning. Yes, we want to know if people are actually present at an event, like I'm specifically referring to events. Are they present or at an event, or are they merely attending? And this counts for the physical world too. Are we sitting there like I was always self-studying at school. I would study the stuff at home because I was too sensory overloaded at school. So I'd sit and I'd draw in my diary. I was just attending at school. I was not participating. I participated by myself. So let's move our avatars towards participation. I just want to drop the instructions in Japanese as well. So which one do you feel they are participating? Okay, so this is participation. In the first example there on the left, it's attendance. We have a hall, a lecture hall, and people are just staring at the screen. And over here, they're in little breakout groups. They're having discussions about the topic. This is much more optimal, in my opinion, for learning, for educating, for having fun, for brainstorming, for planning, anything like that. Okay, so let's place 2 more images. On days like today, I wish that I was an octopus, because then I would have 8 hands and not only 2. And Michio's saying the images are easy to understand. So the one is a music concert where the people are just attending, again on the left. And then the other one, they're participating. The artist is singing, but some people in the audience have instruments, they have lighters, they're participating in the event. I feel that in events, we should all aim for participation in our events. So Cyrus always says everything in life really is UX, and everything in life is user experience. I've stolen that from you. Thank you, Cyrus. So during an event, we need to provide people with a good experience, and this will leave a lasting impression, and it will also make people want to come back for more. So we need to give them a reason. We need to give them an incentive to want to come. We need to say that, you know, what will leave a lasting impression? What will make them want to come back for more? So to define, if we define experience, it's to undergo, to feel, and to have first-hand knowledge of an occurrence or an event. So I'll repeat that: to undergo, feel, to have first-hand knowledge of an occurrence or an event. And people have done actual research on running branded events, and the results have shown that connection with the brand is improved by cognitive, behavioral, and emotional engagement with the brand during the event. So to encourage word of mouth afterwards, which is the goal of the brand, to have an event, right, or a company. If they're having an event to advertise, they want people to spread the word, even musicians. They want people to talk about the show afterwards, to say, oh, wow, were you at Super Wednesday? Stilo did this and this and this. So to encourage word of mouth afterwards, they've shown, research has shown in 2024, actually, Sobey and Winkelhofer showed that participants need to be emotionally and socially engaged. And this will encourage spreading the word afterwards. Active engagement promotes a way more meaningful sense of connection among participants, and social connection among participants leads to improved perception of the event, and improved perception of the event leads to an improved perception of the brand or the person that's running the event. So if someone is trying to advertise in the digital world, this is extremely important. Mitsuaki is saying, if you don't understand what you're holding at an event, it will be a meaningless gathering to waste time on. You need to hold an event with a clear concept. I agree, Mitsuaki. Are there any comments at this point? Other comments? Wabi Sabi is saying the most important thing about an event is to have fun. And yes, Wabi, I agree. Research has shown that when people have fun, they walk away with a more positive experience, and then a more positive view of whatever the event was about or the brand. And then the same can be applied to teaching new concepts, to knowledge, to education. When I was doing children as speech therapy sessions for children who had language delays, and for the sake of simplicity, let's say I was teaching colors, it would have been far less effective to put up 3 squares and say, this is blue, this is red, this is green. Whereas we would run around and collect all the balls that were red, collect all the balloons, or pop all the balloons that were red. So we would experience it. And it's the same in education as what it is in entertainment. You need to have a good experience. So like the wise Irishman once told me, everything really is about user experience. and improving the experience for the attendees and the user. So I'm going to do a brief demonstration. First, I will press the C key, and this is me showing you how you can clap in the digital space. Now, if you're in VR, second experiment, if you're in VR, I would like you to move your hands together as if you're clapping. If you're on the phone, I would like you to touch the little icon at the top with the hands clapping. If you're on the PC, you can click C to clap. So the first one you attended, you watched me showing you how to click C. The second one you participated. And I don't think I even have to ask, what would help you remember next time you're in a space? If you're new to spatial and you're in a space the next time, would you remember how to clap from me showing you how to do it? Or would you remember how to clap from actually doing it yourself? So again, their user experience, you have to experience something to undergo, to feel, or to have first-hand knowledge of an occurrence or an event. And by you pressing C and your avatar clapping, it's still you having that first-hand knowledge or experience. Now, I'm going to move on to the 4 areas that I focus on in the digital spaces. And as you might have already picked up, I'm incorporating examples of experiencing versus watching, like the talk is titled Don't Just Watch, Experience. And I'm doing this the entire time during this presentation. I want this presentation to be an embodiment of today's topic. So I'm aiming to create multiple experiences, except for the balloons that didn't work. I'm going to speak about my African dream. So many of you are already familiar with my space and spatial, my African dream. And if not, Elsa has placed portals on the side. Thank you, Elsa. And you're free to visit anytime you want to. Currently, it has 62,000 visitors, which if you compare it to a platform like Roblox, it's nothing. But for spatial, I think it's okay. So the initial build of my African dream was done by Luti and Marcio. And since then, Luti and sometimes I have done multiple updates to keep the content fresh and engaging. So at this point, I want to take a brief moment just to introduce Luti. Whether he's here or not, I'm not even sure. I've lost track of the participants. But Luti is an extremely good builder in spatial, and he's helped me significantly, taught me how to do things myself. And he's built a lot of worlds in spatial. I'm going to play a brief video of the spaces that he's built here for people to see. And I think one of the things that keeps people going back to his spaces over and over again are that they're fun, they entertain people, they're interactive, they make them laugh. So you truly experience them. You don't just attend or visit the space, look around and not do anything in it. So let's open this. I assume, yes, you have. So for me, my one friend who used to do educational presentations used to say, I'm not that smart. I just surround myself with smart people. You don't have to be a great creator. You can just surround yourself with great creators. And we have so many of them here in Spatial. So my African dream is a digital representation of a nature reserve and a resort. And I want to be a representative of the African culture and also hopefully bring more of the African culture into the digital space. So we're now going to do an experience where we experience the rhythms of Africa, and we will gather to do some African drumming. You can walk up to the drum that I'm going to drop, and you can also go to the trash can to unequip it, but after 3 minutes, it will stop out of its own. So I will put the drum in the middle, and then we can all sit around and drum together to experience that mutual feeling. You can come up to it and equip. I will make it a little bit bigger so that it's easily visible. Okay, so some of the comments, I don't want to go into too much detail there. Some of the comments were that it was immersive and it was a super cool African drumming experience in an Arabic space. So I want my African dream to be an opportunity also to be a call to care. I want it to be an opportunity to advocate for animal protection. And in order for people to truly care, they first need to connect emotionally with the animals. They need to see them, they need to engage with them, they need to see them on a regular basis. And a lot of people can't just come out and fly to South Africa and go to a nature resort, and hopefully they can experience them digitally. So that's why I also believe in Cyrus's advice of always tell a 3D story, because once you connect emotionally with something, you will be more likely to care. So I'm going to drop a few items, and I would like you to come up and select your animal. So they're little pebbles, and when you click on them, you will turn into a different pebble. And the credit here goes to Lucy for teaching me how to do this and for helping me when I got stuck. So the little pebbles are here in front. There's one of a female elephant. There's another one of a baby elephant. There's another one of a cheetah, which run extremely fast, by the way. And then there's one of a warthog. So you can come up. So I'm currently the cheetah. You can stay the animal because it does have a sitting pose as well. Or you can go back to your own avatar. I think it would be pretty cool to fill the space up with animals. And I will have these available in my African Dream afterwards. I'm going to have a little sandy garden with a few African plants and then these pebbles scattered amongst them. So I'm going to be a baby elephant. If we all try these on and experience them daily and interact with these things, we start caring about them. And by caring, people can start making a difference. Because I believe that wildlife protection is a shared responsibility by society. And it's also one of the UN SDGs, protecting life on land. And there's so many beautiful species that are currently at risk of extinction. So there's one elephant killed every 20 minutes. The population has declined by 30% over the past 7 years. And because of climate change, the huge cause of elephant death is habitat destruction because of urbanization, yeah, and also climate change. So get your audience or your people to care about the things, to identify with whatever you're wanting them to care about. And in this case, for me in Africa, it would be animals. We have huge animals. And then these poor little babies get separated from their moms because the older elephants are often poached, sometimes for their ivory if it's the male elephants, or for their skin, or for trophy hunting, which I think is terrible. So yes, wildlife protection is a shared responsibility. I will remain an elephant. So also as part of my African dream, I want to introduce the concept of Ubuntu and to represent the concept of Ubuntu. And Ubuntu means that I am because we are. I feel it's worth it because otherwise I would have half an audience that doesn't understand what I'm saying, and I'm not okay with that. It goes against my model of inclusion. So as part of my African dream, like I said, I want to represent Ubuntu and hopefully advocate for it more in the digital space. And here I want to talk about this talk, right? This experience, this type of event. People might say things like, it seems impossible to do all of these things. Or, oh no, I mean, yes, I'm not a creator, so I can't have these kind of experiences. Well, the former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, used to say it always seems impossible until it's done. But this talk is a living embodiment of Ubuntu. So who built my African dream and taught me how to make digital assets? Luti. Who made the script available publicly for everyone to use, the flying script that we all enjoy? Josh Garrett with Metadine. who taught me how to make things pulsate by adding scripts to the decor in my spaces, who taught me about user experience. Cyrus, who supports all my events day in, day out. Linda, Murderface, who created the script for the 50K My African Dream celebration. Andrea, who made the synced ball that we can all do dances together and don't have to count 1, 2, 3, go, and then restart. 7 plus, who was always available when I downloaded Unity and had no clue what I was doing, and he would say, "Let's screen share and jump into my space." Marcio, who supports my space every day, even if it's putting his avatar there while he's working. Ruthless, who designed the code in my space that allows me to host, paint the guests, and move people one by one. 1800. So literally this talk and all that I do in the digital space is because we are. Even the Alice-mation plates that we use. I've given Luti 2 spots there because he's done so much to help me out. He created the system and I put together the dance animation. The word Alice-mation is a combination of my nickname Liz and then the word animation. At a party, for example, people can access the moves via, and you can see them at the back, they can access them via the keyboard. So by pressing the hotkeys like X, Q, J, whatever it may be, but they can also walk on these plates and their avatars start dancing. It became extremely painful for me watching VR users enter a dancing event and then immediately leaving the event again because they couldn't participate. Or people would come in on their phone and just stand there. And it was so extremely sad for me to watch that there's an event that I'm enjoying, but other people can't participate. So by creating these systems, it allows for inclusion and participation. To just go quickly over Ubuntu, it's a humanist philosophy emphasizing interconnectedness, compassion, and community. It has guiding principles for reconciliation and humanity. Archbishop Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela often spoke about it, that Ubuntu, I am because we are, is the key to reconciliation and humanity. It's about recognizing that our humanity is tied to the humanity of others. And a person that possesses Ubuntu is open and available to others. They affirm others. They don't feel threatened when others are good or capable, but they rather support the efforts. And I believe that if we all embrace Ubuntu here in these digital spaces, then we will rise together. Let me just quickly skip through to the next thing. Okay, so before I conclude, I want to talk briefly about Pixel Dreams, which is something that I recently started with Cyrus. I just want to drop in all the information about Ubuntu. Okay, so Pixel Dreams. Okay, so what is Pixel Dreams? Recently, I've launched Pixel Dreams in partnership with Cirrus XR. And other than the physical creation of the experience, I bring the hosting and background in inclusion and community building and education to the partnership. And Cyrus has a background in user experience, business development, and brands. And he worked with some very big brands as part of his music and tech company. So we've collaborated to create a company that presents various events. We create virtual experiences for every occasion. We provide immersive digital event planning and hosting using extended reality. But our main focus is currently on branded events. So I believe that the way I host comes from my experience in inclusion and accessibility. I could do a whole talk on these concepts, but in summary, does it appear when you're doing an event, look around, and does it appear as though all people are included? It might take a little bit of time to prep beforehand so you can gauge, are there people in your audience who don't speak the same language? Show them how to use the translation tool, show them how to use Google Lens, translate for the majority of the other language speakers in advance. Is the experience accessible to all? Help people that are new. Make sure you have solutions, or at least consider solutions according to what device the person is using. If it's VR, mobile, laptop. In spatial, for example, you have to be mindful that a VR user cannot read the chat. And then I read out the comments in the chat, because if not, the VR users miss out on the entire chat experience. And then, so you can check out the website, and I will briefly share it. Find it at the moment, but it's part of Cyrus or Ken's website. And you can see his various experiences there, and it will be under the services that we offer. For example, we want to bring people's brands to life. So for those of us who are still animals, let us go and unequip the animals. And I want to do a quick example of how we can bring a brand to life. Okay, so for example, let's take Saratoga. Saratoga is a clothing company for outdoors events. And let's say now I want to bring the Saratoga brand to life, and I'm hosting an event for them. Would I just tell people about what they do? Or would I try and tell a 3D story? I want you all to imagine that we're walking in the snow, really cold. We've been walking for long, kind of like Dave in your Shangri-La space. You're a great 3D storyteller. And we reach the top of the mountain, and we want to set up camp and warm up. So we've been hiking. It's freezing cold. And I think we'll need at least a hat. So let's see. We need a hat, first of all. So here you can come and get yourself a warm hat. Warm yourself up. Because it's freezing. It's in the minus degrees. And this is a special hat that for today also covers your entire body. And on the back, you'll see it has a little stamp that will say your logo there. We would need to set up a safe space where we can rest. So let's bring out the tent. Okay, so this is an example of how we could bring the Saratoga brand to life. And then we would want to warm up. Oh, sorry, it kept rotating. We would want to warm up as well. So how about a fire? And now if I was doing an event for this brand, obviously it would be much more detailed, and it would be much more focus on this whole narrative. But this is just to give an example for today of how we can bring brands to life in the digital space. So I'm going to put some hot chocolate here that you can all enjoy digitally, and I will wrap things up and conclude. So here's a hot chocolate drink. You can help yourselves. I will drink some hot chocolate. It may remove my hat, so no, I would rather wear my hat. I like the little things that cover my ears. So when I say we want to bring brands to life, this is what I mean. Create an experience, bring the brand to life, advocate for the brand, help people connect emotionally and socially, because like I spoke about earlier, research has shown that by doing that, people are likely to spread the word afterwards to become a customer of that specific brand. And this goes in general. Okay, while you enjoy your hot chocolate, I will conclude. Let me move on to the next slide. Give people a reason to join your virtual event. Give people a reason to leave Zoom calls behind in 2020, where I believe they belong. Let's do things better, and let's do things differently together. So that concludes my talk. And now, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I know I went a little bit over time. Sorry about that. Whoops. But that is the end. So Elsa, I'll hand over to you. I can't hear Elsa at the moment. Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Say thank Thank you so much for this experience. I can't even find the words. That's really immersive. That's truly immersive. And thank you for your translations as well, because we have a huge Japanese community, and that's really important. And yeah, I think that's really amazing that we have persons like Lisbeth who not just build places but build experiences. And I liked this concept. I am because we are. This is about community, and that's true. Uh, when we have community, we have much more possibilities, and we can build more brilliant experiences and places. And yeah, I am because we are. That's really great. So we are out of time, but I think, yeah, if anybody else have the question, please write them in the chat, and please don't leave. If you have time, we have some kind of after party, music, fun, and some extra time together. I just want to ask one question. So, looking ahead, uh, in your opinion, what is the metaverse most lacking today as space for art, education, and communication?
The metaverse as a whole, I'd say in my opinion, digital spaces are lacking interactivity and immersion, where many of us guilty of just duplicating the physical world model. And I think that's what's lacking. People need to connect more, they need to engage more, and they need to share experiences. By sharing experiences with people, you build long lasting relationships with both the space, the brand, the friends, and it improves your quality of life. So I think we focus a lot on making it look perfect, but it's limited in terms of its interaction. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's still developing. And yeah, thank you for being a part of it and for designing these experiences. So I want to say personally from my side that was truly inspiring, truly immersive. The way you brought in interactive elements, the fireworks, the avatars, the items, wings. It all reminded us that the metaverse is not just a place to build, but a place to live experiences that simply aren't possible in real life. As I told about the wings, so we can fly, we can like feel some phantom things. And yeah, that's truly amazing. And it feels even more powerful because we are all joining today from different countries, different cultures, and different time zones, and yet we could share this moment together. So thank you, Lisbeth, for guiding us through this journey, and thank you everyone for being with us at Inloco MetaTalks. Before we wrap the main part, let's take a quick group photo together, as usual, our little tradition, a little memory of this session. It's time to celebrate, and we invite you all to move to the next room. If you have time, just join us and let's party. Thank you, everybody.
Lost in your hurricane. I wanna be lost in your hurricane. Lost in your hurricane. I wanna be lost